Chapter 48, Halibut. 1 week later, Heyman and I ride our bikes 10 miles to Halibut, Iowa. "You sure you want to do this?" Heyman says as we pedal up a long, shallow rise. "How many times are you going to ask me that?" "How many times have I asked you so far?" "At least 5 times in the last 10 minutes, I say." "I'm going to ask you all the way to Halibut." "Give me a break, Hay. I've already been through this with my mom. She thinks I'm nuts, too." "Your mother is a wise woman," he says. "Yeah, but she doesn't have to be me." "What does that mean?" he asks. "I mean, I have to live the rest of my life. I have to live with myself. If I don't do this, I'm going to feel guilty for the rest of my life." "You'll get over it," he says. I decide to change the subject. "So what's the deal with you and Sin?" That takes him by surprise. He slows down as we reach the top of the hill. "What do you mean?" "I mean, are you guys, boyfriend-girlfriend?" "I don't know," he says. "How can you not know something like that?" I ask. "Sin says she wants to keep her options open." "What options? We live in Vacaville," I say. Heyman speeds up. I pedal harder to catch him, and when I do, he says, "I guess you could say we're dating, but we're not exactly advertising it." We are riding side by side, but he doesn't look at me. "Are you cool with that?" he asks. "Why wouldn't I be?" "I don't know, because we're the Three Musketeers." "Sin and I talked about it," I said. "Hey, we're cool." Heyman nods. I can feel him relax. "I think you guys would make a great couple," I say. We pedal the rest of the way to Halibut without talking. Halibut is even smaller than Vacaville. Heyman waits outside while I go to the town's only cafe. Just a counter and a half-dozen tables. The daily special is the loose meat sandwich combo. From the looks of the sign, it's the daily special every day. I ask the waitress if she knows where Egon Belt lives. "Egon," she says. "Egon has a place over on the south end of town." Sorry about that, 5th grade. Somebody was walking by the house and my dogs had to protect me. Let's return. "Egon," she says. "Egon has a place over on the south end of town. Look for the house with everything perfect." "What do you mean, everything perfect?" I say. "You'll know it when you see it." "Do you have an address?" She laughs. "Child, this is Halibut. You go more than 8 blocks in any direction and you're either wading in hog waste or lost in a cornfield." She points. "Just head that way and you'll find Egon." I go back outside. "She says go south," I tell Heyman. "How far?" he asks. "I don't know." 4 blocks away we come to a house that is, as the waitress said, perfect. A small 1-story rambler painted blindingly white with matching white picket fence. Crisp black shutters frame the windows. The lawn is flat, utterly dandelion-free, and intensely green. The bushes in the front are sculpted into precise cylinders. And we'll try again. The bushes in front are sculpted into precise cylinders. My dad would love it. "It looks like a cartoon house," Heyman says. On the mailbox, the name Belt is spelled out in perfectly spaced black block letters. "You want me to come in?" Heyman asks. "That's okay," I say. "I'll only be a minute." I let myself in through the gate and walk up the short sidewalk. The pavers have been set in place with the utmost precision. The doormat, "Welcome," is perfectly aligned with the edges of the landing. I press the doorbell. A few minutes later, the door opens. Egon Belt is dressed exactly the same as always. Neatly pressed coveralls that look brand new, crisp chambray shirt, and the full, perfectly shaped, uniformly gray beard. He doesn't say anything. He just looks at me. "Hi," I say. "Remember me?" "Certainly," he says. "Congratulations again." "I wanted to give you this," I say, and I thrust the check at him. He examines it without making a move to take it. Then he says, "Why?" "Because the Gurge poisoned you. He squirted some stuff on your pizza." "I know that," he says. "You knew?" He nods. "Virgil has used that nasty ipecac trick before. I blame myself. I wasn't even paying attention." "Virgil has used that nasty ipecac trick before. I blame myself. I wasn't paying attention." "I saw it," I say. "I could have done something, but I didn't." "Heat of the moment, son, heat of the moment. It's not your responsibility to take care of other contestants." He shrugs and then smiles. "It was almost worth it to see what happened next. That was a good move, giving Virgil a taste of his own medicine." "You saw?" "You weren't that smooth, kid. You're lucky nobody else noticed." "So, you knew I cheated?" Egon Beltz laughs. "You didn't cheat, son. You took advantage of a situation, turned the tables, and eliminated the real cheater." "But I should have said something. You should have won." He shakes his head. I wasn't about to catch up with Virgil. That boy was on fire, but he had the ipecac in his pocket, and he just couldn't stand to not use it. If he hadn't used it, you would have got second place at least. Free pizza for a year? No, thank you. Anyway, I don't get up to Vacaville that often. But I want to split my winnings with you. You're an idealist, son. I admire that in a young man, but I am not going to take your money. I saw the way you put down those last two pizzas. The great Kobayashi himself would have bowed down to you. Fact is, if Virgil hadn't pulled his little stunt, I think you might have passed both of us. How many slices did you eat? 50. 50. He shakes his head slowly. 50. You keep that money, son. You earned it. He starts to close the door. Wait. Yes, he says. Thank you. Thanks for letting me tie you at the qualify. That was a legitimate tie, son. You have to learn to give yourself credit. Pat yourself on the back. It doesn't hurt. And spend the money on something besides pizza. He closes the door. I look at the check, fold it, and put it back in my pocket. Well, Heyman says when I get back to the sidewalk. He told me to give myself a pat on the back and keep the money. That's what I told you, Heyman says, except for the pat on the back part. He said I might have won anyway. Do you think you would have? I don't know. Maybe. I twist around. What are you doing? Trying to give myself a pat on the back, I say. Heyman reaches over and claps me on the shoulder. There you go. Thanks. You hungry? I could eat. You? I could go for a loose meat combo, I say. My treat. Chapter 49, Mal's Job. School started last week. I see Heyman and Sin every day, but we don't hang out as much as we used to. The boyfriend-girlfriend thing seems to be working for them. I have a girlfriend now, too. Sort of. Actually, I'm not sure what we are, but I've been seeing a lot of Alicia Moreno lately. She likes pizza almost as much as I do, but not the pizza they serve at school. So the two of us usually skip lunch and walk over to Pigorino's after school and split a sausage and mushroom. 2 slices for her, the rest for me. At the moment, we were more like eating partners than boyfriend-girlfriend. But you never know. Bridget has a new boyfriend, a guy named Garth, with 2 A's. Garth has blonde dreadlocks down to his shoulder blades, multiple studs in both ears, and a ring in his right nostril, and he wears a serape. He starts every sentence with, basically, as in, basically the military-industrial patriarchy and our species' suicide mechanism. Garth wants to study salamanders because, basically, when the amphibians go, we all go. He announced the first time we met him that he did not believe in having children. Basically, we'll all be dead in 50 years, so what's the point in reproducing? I haven't seen any signs that Garth has a sense of humor, but he's a lot more interesting than Derek. Also, Mal likes him. Mom and Dad were alarmed when Bridget showed up wearing a nose ring of her own, but they seem to be coming around. Maybe it's just a phase, Mom says. That's what college is for, to experiment and try new things. I don't know if she's talking about Garth or the nose ring, but probably both. I'm thinking I'm going to get a tongue stud, I say. Mom gives me the stink eye. Just kidding, I say. You had better be. In any case, I'm sure one day Bridget will meet her perfect young man. You mean perfect like I was? Dad says. Even more perfect, Mom says. I've seen pictures of Dad in college. He looked kind of like Garth, only a Nirvana t-shirt instead of a serape. I'll be in college too before long, probably at a state school, because unlike Bridget, my grades are not exactly scholarship material. But I'm pretty sure I'll do okay, because I always figure things out one way or another. I might enter some eating contest to help pay for it. Mal will still be at home, of course. He will always be at home, despite Mom's dreams for him. Since the contest, he has learned 2 more words, mine and Arfie. I think Mom's bummed that he still hasn't learned Mom or Dad, but I know he'll get there. He has his own way of coming up with things. I also know that although I'm the middle kid in a typically messed up family, I am not the slider that welds the 2 halves of a bun. That's Mal's job. I know that because I know the sun will rise, but I also know he'll be okay because we will always be here to take care of him. And Mal will be here for us, teaching us the rules, holding us together. The end. I hope you enjoyed Slider, my friends. Make sure you take an AR test.